Okay, hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you a recreation of Luigi's mansion done in Minecraft. So this is the outside. We're going to make our way nicely into the front of the foyer. As you can see, I've put in the stairs and the rails to the side and the candles and the chandelier. I think is a nice touch. You can see the outside through the windows. So I think we're going to take the path Luigi would take and go ahead into the parlor here, where you can see the first room that he would encounter all the ghosts and Professor Egad, and the paintings on the wall that, will creepily talk to you, complete with some of the tables and chairs that are line the room, and, there's always a dresser full of money nearby. So, unfortunately for Steve, there's no money here, because he's not Luigi. Make our way into the next room, which is lit up by glow stones, which I've used for the light bulbs, and all the dressers that would abound here. There's not a whole lot else in this room. It's usually just a bit of a ghost fight. If we go into the coat room, however, notice that the floor, it was definitely made of much more rugs and carpeting than normal. You'll notice the mirror that you can see Uncle Grimly in, and all the places that the guests would hung their coats if, anyone ever wanted to visit a haunted mansion. Including here we have the shelf, which is where the boot rack is, and we have a small chandelier, and all the other coat racks. So why don't we go outside now, and we can have a look at the veranda, which there would be a toad here, but toads don't exist in Minecraft. So instead we get a nice looking view of the rest of the world around us. You can see all the nicely planted flower pots, and the torch, of course, that lights up the balcony. Now, this is unfortunately a dead end, so we're going to have to go back through the rooms we just saw, and we can get into where the first rooms of the portrait ghosts would be. Steve can meander his way across, and through the double doors. You can see all the vases that I'm sure if you've played Luigi's Mansion, you would constantly be hitting with your vacuum in search of gold and jewels and other items. So let's make our way into the study, which of course is where you'll find Neville napping here in his rocking chair. You'd normally have to wait for him to yawn before you could capture him. You can see the portraits that line the wall. The fireplace is lined with all the books that I'm sure Neville would want to read in his afterlife. A few paintings that I'm sure is nice, and of course the study desk, which would be a great place to just sit and wait for more guests to come visit you. But there aren't any coming, so we're going to move on. Down the carpets. Now, for those of you who don't know, Luigi's Mansion does contain trick doors. Fortunately, Steve can open and close them as he wishes, but if you were Luigi, you would probably just be killing yourself here. So we're going to walk into the master bedroom, which contains a nice large double bed, a flower pot at one side, a lamp at the other, a nice view of the outside, and of course the spinning fan out the top of the ceiling. You can also see outside at the balcony I was already sitting at earlier, and of course you can see the dresser drawer where the ghost would normally be sitting. A few paintings that line the room, and this was actually one of the nicer rugs I saw to make, was nice star kind of orientation here. And I thought that was a really cool looking rug, so I put it in here too. Now, normally this is about the time you would be walking into the first boss room, which is actually quite a cluttered room as it turns out. You notice the dresser drawer, where you can always find lots of health, some shelves on the side here, a nice little table, which I'm sure is good for baby tea parties, a crib, which, you would put babies to sleep in, and a very interesting looking rocking horse that unfortunately doesn't rock. But it's nicely lit and looks quite pretty. So I'm going to move on from here. And normally this wouldn't be part of Luigi's path, but I'm not coming all the way back here to show you the twins room. I'm just going to go into the twins room, which features a nice set of bunk beds, one shelf for each of the twins, a painting because they like to look at pictures. Their study desk, which I'm thinking they have to share because there is 2 chairs sitting there. And I think they also have to share this dresser. And all this sharing for you kids of the 2000s is probably not something you're used to having to do. But for those of you who've lived through earlier times, you may have had to share a room with a roommate, or your sibling for that matter. Well, with that done, we're going to go downstairs into the main room, or sorry, the main floor, where Area 2 would take place. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here, just so we don't have to do a whole lot of backtracking. I'm going to take you into the laundry room next, which contains a washer, a basket, a dresser with a shelf on top of it, a trick door that doesn't lead to the kitchen, another basket, and there was a shelf full of some cleaning supplies here. And for those of you who play Minecraft and don't know what this is end stone. Anyone who's been to the end will have seen that, and that just seemed like the best thing for the yellowy kind of floor that most laundry rooms have. So let's go into the butler's room here, which is, of course, he has his table for sitting on things. He's got a full mop bucket over here that is ready for cleaning anything his master might need. He's got a sewing machine here. He's got a couple tables in case he has guests of his own. And for some reason he also keeps an empty bucket. Of course, lining the tops of the walls is all the other knickknacks and doodads that he'll need in his time, which hang at the top of the ceiling. Now, some of you might think that this is the end of this reason, but for those of you listening to not just me, you'll know that we're probably going to head into a hidden room next. Now, normally you would have to scan a mouse hole in the bottom there to see this room, but we're just going to walk on some panels and hide the room that way, which is made of gold, which is always glittering and awesome. And golden chests, and there's always lots of goodies in here. There's a few paintings to keep your mind elsewhere, but let's face it, you're just staring at glittering gold in here as you're battling ghosts and collecting all the treasure that floods the room. But enough of treasure, let's head back out. I can show you some more. And of course, this is the hallway. Infamous hallways of Luigi's Mansion always have redways lining it. Let's head now into the dining room, where you will maybe have noticed Mr. Lugs would normally be sitting here chowing away at this lovely placed cake that just looks really scrumptious and is hard to not actually be eating right now. Here you'll notice one of the china cabinets that line the room, and a painting in the background, all the candles that line the wall, and of course more china cabinets, because what's a fine dining room without china cabinets? Now, I'm not sure what the ghosts were thinking when they put this double door in between the dining room and the kitchen, but I guess it must be a high traffic area because no guests like to eat. Let's go into the kitchen. Here we have our refrigerator that will not slam into you and hurt you, nor will it produce any icy type ghosts, as well as the cabinet next to it. Our main sink that, you know, is needed in all sorts of kitchens. A couple of actual furnaces to cook any kind of goodies you want. Some shelves to hang the pots and pans with. And of course, there's a pot hanging on the wall there. A couple of lights to keep it up. And this side table, I'm sure, is you could use for cutting things if you ever needed to. But enough about being inside. Let's head into the now darkening outside. This will just awesome atmosphere for this. Outside, you can see Spooky here, one of the ghosts I actually decided to include. He's sitting here. He's got his nice little dog bowl. You can see the switch that would normally be the watering hose, and the garden that's always here. It's always a nice place to go. And those of you who actually scanned the sign in Luigi's Mansion would actually be able to read it. But here, you can just look at it. So, you might think that there's a wall here, but you know, you can always walk into the doghouse and be transported to the other side of the wall as you come out of a tree stump into the graveyard. It's such a creepy place. There's gravestones about. There's a bit of snow here. But I'm not going to walk too close to this major gravestone here because I don't want to come across Bogmire. Still a very creepy place with the lights all to one side. Gravestones lying about. So, and of course the large dirt walls that keep you from going anywhere out that's not truly part of the mansion. Because Luigi doesn't want to go anywhere else. So let's head back into the main manor, warping back the same way we got in. You can wave at Spooky again. There's that high traffic zone I was talking about. We are going through here twice, because dead ends do exist. So I think now we're going to go across the hall and into the ballroom, which is home, of course, to the dancing whirlwindas and the large circling platforms in the middle of the ballroom. Of course, lining the edge of the ballroom, you can see the portraits, as well as the chairs for those of you who are too shy to go dancing. If you're, of course, that would make you shyer than a shy guy, which would be pretty shy overall. So this is a very large room with not a whole lot of stuff in it because you want a lot of space to dance in. So we're going to go into the storage room here, which has crates. Yes, lots of crates are being stored here, as well as a chair and a stack of other chairs. Got a mirror and an empty bucket. Now if you were to look in this mirror, you might see this button, which unfortunately doesn't do anything here, but would open this wall all the way over to here, where we can see it. There's a trap door and a button. It's just aching to be pressed. So I'll let the booze out, and we can continue our adventure. They would all scatter around, and of course there's no hope of catching any of them. But this is yet another dead end, so we'll be going back to the main hallway here. I'm going to press forward, and we're going to go to the left, and I'm going to show you into the conservatory here. This was a very interesting room because some of the entrances are very small, such as this saxophone. There's also this very large looking harp, a music stand. We have ourselves the timpanis, which are well coated and I'm sure would sound really good if I could actually hit one. We have ourselves the xylophone, a favorite amongst kids and skeletons alike. And of course, the main feature is the piano. A person would obviously sit here and hit these nice ivories to make such a big black box produce such soothing music. And I'm sure this dresser is where Melody would keep all the kind of evilly music that she would like to bombard you with. So I'm going to get out of here before she decides to show up and bombard me. I'm going to go a little more off course here in terms of Luigi's storyline and show you the billiard room next. Notice the nice back and forth marble floor. And one of my favorite things to build, which was the billiard table. And the billiard table is, of course, nice and green, and if you look close enough, even has pockets. There's a large mirror on the side, and of course, a fan at the top of this room because you want to keep cool when you're playing pool. So we're going to show you, there's a couple tables which I'm sure you would keep the extra billiard balls in if you weren't using them. And we also have the checkerboard, which I'm sure you would want to sit down and play a game of chess if that was your cup of tea. But I don't know, I'd rather play billiards. Let's go into the projection room. Now, of course, here is where we would watch all sorts of kind of neat movies. And here is the projector screen, which of course is where you would see all the ghosts appearing when you turn the projector on. We have the big green, I actually don't know what those things were in Luigi's Mansion, but they're right there. And here we also have the drawer where I'm sure you would keep lots and lots of films. And of course, the projector, which actually can be turned on and off. So if we want to actually watch a movie, we can, or we can put it away whenever we are done with it. So I'm going to exit here and move forward into a washroom. Or of course the main focus is the toilet, where of course, you know,